Hi, this is Shinchan. In today's tutorial, we will be talking a bit about the GitHub's API, right? So GitHub actually offers us a GitHub API also, which can actually serve us the repository contents. So first looking at the API, we will have the API's URL, something like this, that is https://api.github.com and slash repos, and then you will just supply the particular account name and then the repository name followed by slash contents to actually view the contents of the repository. So for example, if you want to traverse this particular repository, so you can actually have a look that you are actually getting the account name and then the particular repository name in the URL. You will just copy this stuff and then you will paste this stuff after api.github.com and then after repos slash. So if you have pasted that, then you will be beginning by a forward slash and then you will type the contents. So this will actually load all the contents in the JSON format for that API. Now what you are interested in is the images folder. So you know that the images folder will also be served by that particular GitHub API in the repos. So you will try to find on this particular page the images as the string, and here you get that particular folder's URL. Here you can see that here is a key and then which is actually followed by the actual URL which you are interested in. So what is our aim is that we will actually use this particular URL to fetch all those images from the particular GitHub repository. So let's actually get back to our Python collab and then try to actually fetch from this particular URL the images. So we will keep this whole URL which we have got from that particular dictionary like structure or say object which has been retrieved. I've actually got this particular URL and I will just keep it here for the simplicity purpose, and I will use the request Python module to actually fetch all those resources out there from the internet from this particular image URL. So firstly, what I will do is that from the request module, I will just use the get function to actually get the contents of this URL, and the request is actually having a status code which actually tells us about whether our request was successful for this particular URL or not. So if the status code attribute from this particular request object is actually request.codes.ok, then it means that our request was actually successful and now content has been retrieved. Now what the content we actually get the content in the request.json function which actually returns us the content and in the JSON format. So we will just keep it in the req variable and then we will print that particular variable for now, right? So we have actually just printed it here. So running this particular block here will actually firstly retrieve the content from this images folder served from the GitHub API, and then we'll just print all the content. So here we can actually have a look that it is actually returning a list of the Python dictionary which is actually containing many attributes including the name, path, download URL, etc for a particular image, right? So it is actually something like that. So what we are interested in is the name of that particular image and then the download URL. You will be also able to look in this dictionary that we actually also got a download URL attribute. So we will access this and also the name to actually load our image from this particular repository. So now we will use other modules like the PIL. You will need to first install the pillow in Python if you don't have that module already installed. So let's actually try installing that particular module in Python. So how we will do that? We will just use pip install pillow for using this particular image class from that pillow. So okay, it is getting a bit hanged. Okay, here's my code section and not operator pip install and then pillar. Okay, so it will actually show requirement satisfied or maybe download the pillar if it is not already present there. So and then we will use two other modules, that is url live.request and url lib and dot request and the image from pillow. So pillow is actually imported in this way, that is from pil import image. So what we will do here is that here I have used just a variable that is I equal to 0, and I'm just trying to actually download first 10 images into a folder in my drive and not more images, because it will take time. So for this tutorial I will just download the 10 images. So now what we are doing is that in that request, as we already mentioned, we have already got a list of the dictionary here, and then it is actually having the name of the image and also the download URL, which we are actually interested in. So we have got the name into that particular. So how we will traverse this particular list? We will traverse in such a way that for img and req means it will actually traverse one after another image, and for each image we will be actually getting the values of the name and the download URL. So then what we are doing is that we are actually saving the name of the image by using a square bracket and the name attribute, because this is the way we actually access the dictionary with the attributes. Means because if we want to actually, so this loop is doing what is actually firstly getting this whole dictionary for the image one, and then and getting that into img variable, and then for the next image doing in a similar fashion. So once we have actually got the dictionary in the img variable, then we actually can get the name attribute by using the img square bracket and names. Then we need to actually load that particular image here, and how we actually used to do that is actually from the module url lib dot request dot url retrieve function is actually used, and here you actually supply the url, and I already mentioned that you will actually get the download url in a key of that particular dictionary with the value of download URL, and then it will actually give you the particular URL of the image you are interested in, and the second will be actually the name with which you want to load it here. So you will be you are actually able to see that it has actually loaded it with this particular name. So here we have done that, and then we will use the image.open function to actually load this particular image loaded here, which was actually loaded here with this particular name, that is img's name was actually supplying a name like this 0001.jpg, and was loading it here, and from here we need to actually load it by using the image.open function, and we are supplying the same name again here. Then we have actually got the image in our img variable. Then we also need to convert it to rgb, because there are some issues that the image is containing some information of alpha, so it is not able to save it with the jpg format. So we will need to convert it to the rgb, and we are just removing the alpha. So we will use the convert function, and then we will just save it into our drive. So how to do that? Firstly, go to your drive. You have to just first mount your drive, and then in your drive you will just right click and create a new folder, and then we'll name that folder something. That is how I actually just name this folder to be fetching from GitHub, and then you can right click and copy path, and then you will just paste this particular path here, and then which is actually being preceded by a forward slash and then the name of the image, and this is the particular name which you have saved already. So yes, this is actually saving this particular stuff here. And this will actually save this particular image. Which image? This one, which is actually loaded into your drive folder fetching from GitHub, and then you are also printing the particular image just for debugging purposes. So let me actually run this block here. So it will do that for the first 10 image, and if you actually look at this particular folder, you will be able to see that these all images are actually loaded. And if I actually try to do this for all those images there on the GitHub, that is actually 900 something, so I will be able to do that also. So let me actually remove that iterator, and let me just run this whole loop, and I will also remove this print message because it will create a lot of issues in printing. So yeah, it is doing that stuff again and again, and will take a lot of time, and will copy all the stuff into my drive. So that was a short tutorial for how to actually access the things directly from GitHub repository by using the GitHub API, you just need to remember one thing, that is GitHub API is actually a api.github.com and a slash and with the repos as which is actually forwarded with the repos, and then the account name, which in our case was IEEE8023, and then it is actually followed by the repository name, which is actually COVID just success dataset, and then which is actually followed by the particular contents, which is actually followed by the contents, and then you can actually find the image directly from there from URL by just typing this all link into the URL and finding your preferred link. So yes, it will actually keep on doing that. There are actually 900 and something images, so it will take some time. And yeah, that was for the today's tutorial. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.